Well, let's get some live reaction to this. International political strategist George Ajjan joins me from Virginia. George, good to talk to you. It's certainly more feisty than it was last week. Neither candidate pulling any punches.
Correct. I think going into this, the main goal for Paul Ryan was to maintain the bounce that Romney got out of his debate performance, which, as you indicated, was largely perceived, and I think correctly perceived, to have been a victory, and a strong victory. And so what you've seen over the past week is that the race has tightened. The polls showing that Romney is coming with interviews. Some polls show him ahead nationally, but of course what really matters is on a state-by-state basis, and some of those competitive states are now switching to the Romney column. So what Paul Ryan needed to do tonight, and I would argue that he actually did so effectively, aided to some degree by Joe Biden's arrogance on some of his responses, was to keep that momentum going and avoid having it dip back down in favor of Obama. So I think what you'll see coming out of this is nothing dramatic, but you'll see that the race will continue to show Romney being more and more competitive with Obama.
George, you mentioned there about how you described Joe Biden appearing quite arrogant at times. I mean, do you think it was more about personality or about the policies?
Well, in a vice presidential debate, there's very rarely, I don't think in the history there's ever anything that's so earth-shattering in terms of policy that's going to, create an earthquake in the race. And to some extent, Biden is his own worst enemy, because when he speaks in a serious tone, he's actually very, very effective. The trouble is that whenever Paul Ryan is giving an answer, he's laughing and joking and coming across as very arrogant and detached from what are some very thoughtful and serious solutions coming from his opponent. And so I think that's really, he's his own worst enemy in that regard.
It seemed to me in a way that Ryan seemed to be perhaps a little more rehearsed, perhaps a bit more fluent, and Biden seemed a bit more bemused, really, but definitely fired up about it.
Absolutely, and I think that fits both of their personalities. Paul Ryan has staked out a place for himself in the political scene as someone who proposes solutions, someone who can very analytically proceed through an explanation of an issue and provide a solution. Whereas Biden is very much about his own personality, and he kind of accepts the fact that he makes gaffes sometimes, and he opens his mouth at the wrong time. And you didn't have it in your highlights, but there was one great jab where Paul Ryan said, "Well, I'm sure all of us at times, including Governor Romney, have said things that didn't come out quite the way we wanted them to," and that got quite a good laugh out of the audience.
And George, just finally, I'm sure the pollsters over there where you are going mad right now, but who do you think is going to have fared better out of this debate?
I think the edge will go to Paul Ryan.
Okay. Thank you very much, George Ajjan, on the line for us there via Skype from Virginia.